guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing you a kind of fun recipe to work on at home. And this is kind of like a how to turn a box cake into something you would find at a bakery. And it's really, I think, pretty simple, very minimal ingredients, and I think that it turns out really cool in the end. So I'm excited to show you guys. So what you're going to need is a box cake. You can really do any flavor you want. I personally love chocolate, so I went with the Betty Crocker Super Moist Triple Chocolate Fudge Cake. I love this one. I think it works really well with this recipe. But when you go through and you see what all the ingredients are, you're welcome to pick whichever one you think would be good. So you're going to need that. You're going to need heavy whipping cream. You're going to need powdered sugar, which, sorry, mine's in a Ziploc bag because that's how I keep it from falling everywhere. Cocoa powder, mint leaves, raspberries, and then some type of berry jelly. I've chosen raspberry preserves and blackberry preserves, but you can choose whichever ones you would like to go with it. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to make a whipped cream frosting. We're going to do kind of like a poke cake type thing. We're going to fill it with this kind of stuff, and we're going to garnish it with some really pretty things, and it's going to look like you bought it from a bakery, but really you did it yourself and it wasn't that hard at all. So why don't we go ahead right now. I've already done my box cake. It's empty in here. I've already put it in the oven, just following the directions from that, and I put it into two circular baking pans. So it's cooking right now. And while that's happening, I am going to go ahead and show you guys how to make the frosting and how to make the filling. Okay guys, so for the frosting, while the cake is baking, I'm going to work on that. And basically, I'm going to need heavy whipping cream. I have a bag of powdered sugar and then cocoa powder. That's all we're going to need for this. So I'm going to take about 2 cups of my heavy whipping cream, and I'm going to pour that in. Probably on my second cup, I'm not going to fill it quite all the way full. I'm leaving it a little less. That's probably like 1/3 of a cup, or 2/3 of a cup. So, because I don't want it to be too much. I just want to make sure I have enough for the recipe to cover the whole cake. So we're doing that, and then I'm going to take 1/4 cup of cocoa powder. And it's not really like, with this baking thing, it doesn't really have to be super accurate. I know a lot of baking situations it needs to be really accurate, but because this is frosting, it's a little bit more guesswork. And then I'm going to do probably 3 tablespoons, like heaping tablespoons of powdered sugar. And I may add more powdered sugar as I go if I taste it and I think, oh, it probably needs to be a little bit sweeter. But again, I don't want this frosting to be too sweet because our cake's gonna be really sweet. I just want it to be a little bit. So I've got all my ingredients in here, and now I need to mix it. And basically, I'm just gonna start mixing this until stiff peaks form in my whipped cream. Alright guys, so I've got stiff whipped cream here now, and it tastes really good. It's kind of the perfect like sweetness. It's not really like the super sweet, but it's sweet enough. So now that I have that made, I'm going to cover it and I'm going to stick it in the fridge until it's time to frost my cake. I want to make sure that this is very firm, so I made sure I went a little bit after it started making stiff peaks. I went a little bit longer, but you don't want to go too long because it'll turn into a butter consistency, which you don't want. But you want to make sure this stays chilled because this is the kind of frosting that will start to melt off your cake if you leave it sitting out for too long. So I'm going to get that right into the fridge, and then I'm going to show you the cream sauce, or the like jelly sauce that we're going to make to go into the cake. Alright guys, so the next thing we're going to do is make kind of a filling, and this is going to go into the layers of the cake. We're going to poke into the cake, and we're going to kind of drizzle this over it, and it's going to kind of seep into the cake and help it stay moist and just be a little bit something extra. So to do this, I'm going to mix a little bit of each of my jellies, and I'm going to heat them up over the stove. Just because, I mean, you won't be able to pour this kind of texture, so you're gonna have to heat it up so that you can actually pour it. And again, I'm really not measuring this. I'm kind of just thinking about how much it's gonna take to cover the 2 layers of the cake that I'm gonna do with this. I did a little bit more of the blackberry one because it doesn't have as many seeds. It doesn't have any seeds, and the raspberry one does. So I don't want to have, personally, I don't want to have a lot of seeds running through my cake. So I'm just warming that up. It's just kind of on low, so I just want it to get to a pourable texture and like mix it all together. Alright, now it's pretty good. It's warmed up and it's thin enough that I feel like I can pour this over the cake. And if I still have a little bit of time because my cake is still cooling off, but once that happens I may have to come back and heat it up a little bit more, but I just wanted to get most of it started now. Alright guys, so now that my cakes are done, I've got my filling and I've got my frosting all together, it's time to start putting the cake together. So I'm going to start. It's mostly, these cakes are pretty cooled down. I'm going to start with this one. It's a little bit thicker, and so I want that one to be on the bottom, so it'll just kind of give it a little bit more stability. I'm going to use just whatever I have, which turns out to be a chopstick. If you have like a wooden dowel rod or something, whatever you have to work. And then I'm going to just kind of go around my cake and poke a bunch of holes. And this cake kind of had a little bit of a sad moment getting pulled out of my pan, so I'm trying to be careful with that. But I'm going to kind of layer this jelly over top, and hopefully it'll sink in to the holes that I've created. So we have that. There's my layer, and hopefully it's falling in a little bit. I'm not really too concerned if it doesn't go through to the holes, but that was just kind of an effort to kind of get it to... Alright, sorry guys, my battery just ran out. So I was just trying to explain that I'm not worried about it getting into the holes, but if it does, that will be better for the moisture of the cake and it will taste really good. But I just have a pretty thin layer of that jelly over top, and now I'm going to add a thin layer of frosting as well. Okay, my thin layer of frosting, just got this out of the fridge. You want to leave your frosting in the fridge as long as possible before you bring it out. And so I'm just going to take a couple dollops of this. Really, I don't want too much. I want a pretty thin layer of this to just go over the center. That was pretty easy. I'm not worrying about making it look good. Just putting on a thin layer. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my other piece of cake, and I'm going to put it, right now this is like the bottom, and this side you can see was the top, and it has a little bit of this, and I want this to be facing upward when I place it on. And guys, this is why it's really important to make sure that your cake is completely cooled, because if it's not completely cooled, it would be falling all over the place. You want it to be cool so that you can manipulate it and move it to the places that you want it to go. So now I can just neatly set that on top. And I am going to go ahead and again with the dowel rod, whatever chopstick you want, and I'm going to create some holes. Looking good. Now I'm going to go ahead, and this layer of jelly I want to actually be a little bit more thin with, I guess is the term I'm going to say, because I don't want it to be falling all over the place. I just want it to kind of nicely be there. Alright, and now for my next layer of frosting, and this one you really can kind of go thick on. You're going to put a lot, and you're going to do the edges as well. So I'm just going for it. And this round, I do want to be pretty careful about making sure that I don't accidentally mix in the jelly into my frosting. I don't want to see that. So I want to be kind of careful about that. And see, I can already tell that my whipped cream frosting is starting to melt. The lights in here are pretty warm, and the stove still has gotten the kitchen pretty warm. So you want to try to work quickly as well as keep it chilled as much as you can up until the point. So I got that, and then I'm going to start adding it to my sides. Okay, I didn't even end up using all of my whipped cream either, but now I'm going to take a paper towel, or you could do it with your fingers and lick it off if you want. I guess it depends who you're serving the cake to. And I'm just going to tidy up the edge. Now that I've got my cake completely frosted, it's time for the berries. And what I'm going to do is just kind of garnish my cake so that it looks kind of just precious, and I'm going to try to just make it look a little bit special. And I'm trying to find ones that are like similar size. And then I'm going to put a couple larger ones near the center. And of course, it wouldn't look fancy if you didn't have a few mint leaves. And then if you wanted to, you could add more berries around the outside bottom edge, or do whatever you wanted with that. I think I like it how it is now, and I'm gonna leave it like that. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, if you thought that this was a fun recipe, and if you're excited to try it, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel so you can see what's coming up next. And leave a comment down in the description bar below of what your favorite type of cake is, and let me know what you like to eat. This is probably like my ideal cake. Chocolate and fruit mixed together. Like anything, like you give me anything that has those two combinations and I will like die for it, because I just love that combination of flavors. So this is my personal favorite cake, but if you have a different favorite cake, please let me know what it is. And thanks for watching. Bye guys!